Anyways, yeah, so I really enjoy my SP-404 Mark II, but I can't help but compare it to my MPC. So I was sitting here thinking about ways I can improve my hi-hats with the SP, because with like the MPC you have layers and you can cycle through those layers, so you could chop a break and have a bunch of different samples of a hi-hat from the same source and make it sound a lot more natural. So I was contemplating some things I could do on here. I've got two different ways I can look at it, one from programming and one from like a finger drumming perspective. So maybe these things will help you out. All right, so I actually made a drum kit for the MPC called Lifted Noise Stole These Hats, and it utilizes that method that I was talking about, where I chopped a bunch of breaks up and then I layered them on a pad and cycled through them, so it gives you that natural vibe. I've also created kits for that same pack for the SP, so if you go pick up the pack, you'll get kits that you can load up in the SP as well. But it's a slightly different layout, so this is one option you could do in the context of finger drumming. So I've created my kits and I've taken 3 of the hi-hats. With the MPC kit, you get 4 layers and you can just press one pad. So this is less ideal, but you do have some more variation here. So that's really the idea. I'm just gonna go through the process here of chopping up a break. You know, I'll go on a bank beat and then load up a break. So if I go into this kit that I have as well, that's the same kit, Lifted Noise Stole These Hats, I've included the breaks that I chopped for all the kits. So I'll go in this folder and just pick one. I really like this one, so go ahead and load that to a pad. And now I got the break here. I'm gonna chop this up. Go into chop mode. All right, so in here, I'll just click on the menu and I'm gonna select auto mark. Switch it from time division to transient, and we'll just do, you got soft, hard, and mid. I like mid. Hit enter to execute. Then I got chops on the transient points and I could just preview them. Check out which ones sound good. So I'm looking for the good hi-hats. Got 3 good ones there. That was decent. All right, so I'll just assign the pads. So I'm just gonna go through and delete ones. Not that one. Not everything that's not. That's not a hi-hat, so I got 4 hats. I hit delete, so I'm left with these. To make things simple, I'm gonna go ahead and do like a resample and put these all into one pad so I can get them all in one spot. Pick a pad. I'm gonna go ahead and normalize this. And I got my 4 hats in one spot. I'm just doing this to kind of clean this up so I can delete all these extra ones. Now I got them in one spot. Now I could bring that in. I could just chop it here again, you know. And same thing, assign a pad. Enter. I got 4 chops. And then I could put these into a mute group. This is also kind of just organizational. Let me just put them right here. And then also, because I can do bulk stuff, like I can do like a shift gate actually to turn off the bank. That works even if they're not in a mute group. But one thing I like to do with all my chops is clean them up a bit. You know, turn the envelope on. First hold copy so I can do it to all 4 of them. You see they start blinking. And then, you know, do my attack. Maybe 1, maybe just on the release because it's a hi-hat, so. I can see that I still could chop these a little bit cleaner. And there you got 4, you know, samples, hi-hats extracted from a break, and this is gonna sound a lot better within the context of your beat. It's gonna sound a lot more natural. Maybe I wanna just do like a, also, pitch them all. So there you go. That's the first idea, just extracting multiple samples from a break. and then programming them like this. So if you're me, just programming your hi-hats separately from the rest of your drums won't be satisfying enough. And having the drums laid out like I was showing you before in those kits with the 3 samples still doesn't quite satisfy me as much as just having control of a hi-hat on one pad, leaving, you know, the other surrounding pads for other samples so I can, you know, add some like tom fills, maybe some rides, you know. So I wanted to see what I could do with just one hi-hat on one pad, and I came up with something really simple that does add a little bit more dimension to your single sample on a pad. So this is my drum kit layout. All right, I've kind of changed it a little bit since I made Lifted Noise Stole These Hats, just to incorporate these toms. Been meaning to bring those in. So like it takes up a lot more space, pads that I would be using for those hi-hats instead of having 3 hi-hats taking up all that room on these bottom 8 pads. I'm just gonna work with this one here. But as you can see, if you look at one common thing with all the samples in the kit is I turn the gate off, right? So yeah, most of these samples, as you can see, all of them are gate off, just on the one shot kind of mode. So instead of having gate off for my hi-hats, I turn it on. And then so when I press this, I don't get the full sample playing out, right? And it sounds kind of cut off there. So that's not ideal. What I want to do is go into the envelope, you know, shift, pitch speed, and then set the release. And this is very subtle. So I'm going to set this to 3. So now when I strike the pad, I'm not going to get, sample's not going to cut it itself off so abruptly. You're going to get something that resembles a hi-hat a lot more. So you want to kind of implement your pad presses, the way you press the pad into your finger drumming. So if I hold it longer, I'm going to get the full sound of the hi-hat. And if I just tap it, I'm going to get, you know, a slightly less, you know, less of the length of the sample. So it's going to sound like a variation. It's still the same pitch. It's a slight variation. So I can do. So. So I get that, which I think sounds a lot better than if I turn it off and go. It's pretty subtle, but I find that it's a bit of a difference there. So I just implement that kind of holding it, maybe holding it on the 1. It could be on the 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I stumbled across this MFX called Toguro. I'll demonstrate it here in a second what it sounds like on the hi-hat, but before that, I'll read this explanation of what the Toguro effect on the Roland 404 is. So the Toguro effect on the Roland SP-404 Mark II is one of its more experimental multi-effects, and it's designed to produce a warped, lo-fi VHS style modulation, kind of like a melting, detuned tape or wobbly pitch shift. It's a stylized take on pitch instability, giving your samples a trippy, swirling movement that can feel like a mix between tape flutter and psychedelic phasing. Okay, so that's the description of it. Let me take a look at it. So what I've already done is I've removed all my samples from Bus Effects 1, right? You can see, but I'm gonna bring the hi-hat back into it and then turn on MFX. Now my voice is probably gonna get all weird too because I got my mic running through here. All right. So yeah, we do this. This is the effect that it gives you. And I really didn't make any change other than the depth. So I'm gonna set this to about 5. And it makes sense. It's giving me a slight kind of pitch change. on the hi-hat. So it, saw my voice. So what it's doing is it's kind of emulating maybe if I was playing a hi-hat on a real kit, it wouldn't always hit the same, and I'd get kind of a probably slight pitch variation just from the fact this is not a computer, it's not a sample. So turning that on gives me somewhat of that effect. So in combination with, the envelope set and the gate on, yeah, so there it is. It's just a thought, something I was, playing around with, something for y'all to kind of explore. Maybe you can come up with some better results. So I am curious, is this even an effect that y'all have used? I've never used this effect ever, except for on this, trying to figure out ways to, creative ways, workarounds to get a better sound out of my hi-hats. So yeah, if you guys got some ideas on some hi-hat techniques for the SP, I'd love to hear about them too, because I'm always trying to learn. Put it in the comments, or even just like, drum techniques in the SP in general. I'd like to hear about them. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming through. If you found some value in the video, do give it a thumbs up. Go support the channel. There are links in the description to the sample packs, to my whole sample pack store. Got a bunch of things on there, specializing in the MPC and SP. So, right. Yeah. Till next time, keep on running with your dreams. Y'all bless. Peace.